Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public. Those here on the island of Nevis, as always, our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts, and those who listen throughout the Caribbean. Good evening to our friends and family in places in the Caribbean like Sunshine City, St. Martin, those in Anguilla, those who are there in the British Virgin Islands and in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Puerto Rico, if you're in the building, good night, buenos dias, and welcome to On The Mark. Those in Montserrat, Sebastia, all of you who might be tuned in right now, I say good evening to you. It's a beautiful night here in the island of Nevis. I extend my greetings as well to friends and family in the United States, in Canada, and of course those who are across the pond in the United Kingdom. Wherever you may be, I know that we have listeners as far away as Jamaica and the Caribbean. We say good evening to you and welcome to this show. A show that we are here doing every week, every Wednesday, between the hours of 8 and 10 for 2 hours of commercial-free talk radio. The idea is to have a platform where we can engage with each other, discuss matters that are important to us, discuss where we are at the community level, at the island and national level, and certainly at the regional and international level. Nothing is off the table here. All that we do, we ask that when we engage respectfully with each other. And if we have to disagree, then let us not be disagreeable. What we're seeking to do on this show is to elevate the standards of discourse and discussion in our country. And we're hopeful that when the history books are written, it will say that we played our part in advancing the ideals of freedom of speech. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Mark Brantley. I'm the Premier of Nevis, but also the host of this show. And this is, of course, On The Mark, right here on VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, 860 on your AM dial. Now, let me start the show by expressing warm congratulations to my brother Spencer Brand and his beautiful wife, Sheila Brand, on their celebration of 25 years of marriage. I believe that that is worthy of celebration, worthy of commendation, worthy of praise. And I say congratulations to both of them. I'm told that they're spending some time together to celebrate their anniversary. And if they're listening, I wish them 25 plus 25 plus 25 more. May you continue to grow in love. May you continue to live with each other, love each other, take care of each other, and may you continue to be an example to the rest of us. So, congratulations to the Brands, Spencer Brand, the Honorable Spencer Brand, and Sheila Brand, First Lady Sheila Brand, as they celebrate their 25th anniversary of their marriage. Congratulations indeed to them, and I'm sure all of us here at VON Radio would like to join in wishing them all the very best on this significant milestone. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, at this time of the show, we tend to extend to those who are celebrating, and where I have the information, congratulations. If I do not have the information, then I extend a general congratulations to those who may be celebrating an anniversary or birthday. Happy birthday to you if you're celebrating today, and warmest congratulations if you have an anniversary or something that has happened in your life that is worthy of celebration. For those, of course, who are sad because they've lost a loved one, or indeed they have a loved one who is sick, or they themselves might be sick, then I also extend my thoughts and my prayers for you and my condolences where you have lost loved ones. We are, at the end of the day, one community, one Nevis, and we have to continue to engage one with each other. And that for me is important, because that is what ultimately we are seeking to do here, is to create more cohesion as an island, as a people, and indeed to extend that cohesion to our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts as one country, one people. Let us continue, therefore, to work together and to do the very best that we can. Now, there are a number of things I want to get to. The first is that the island and country was rocked by yet another horrible homicide. In this case, the first for the year. In fact, I think is the first homicide in the past 6 months. I am told that the last homicide we had was last October, and so we were on a very, very good track. And this one appears, based on all that I've heard and based on the reports that I've seen in the media, to have been a matter of domestic violence, where a gentleman is accused of taking the life of a woman. That woman, I'm told, was beloved. She was a nurse. In fact, I engaged with one person who is a dialysis patient, and he said to me that they could not get dialysis, the patients from Nevis, because this woman was usually the one who took care of them. And so we have certainly lost a professional individual, a nurse, someone from a profession that requires a particular level of care and caring. And they say nursing is not a job, it's a calling, and we have lost her. More importantly, we see a 69-year-old man who is now charged with taking her life. And from the media reports, this is a gentleman who resides in New York, but who's from St. Kitts. And so he thought it best to come home and to commit this heinous crime. That is the allegation. Of course, we understand that everybody is innocent until proven guilty, but that is the allegation. I just want to take this moment on the occasion of this very sad and tragic occurrence to remind our people to cease and desist from this tendency to use violence for the resolution of disputes. I think it is particularly egregious when it happens in the home or it happens among people who supposedly are in a relationship. We have, over the years, had a crisis in relation to domestic violence, where men and some women, but predominantly men, have used violence on their partners, have continued to abuse physically, mentally, their partners, and as a result they've created broken homes, broken families, and in this instance, if the allegations are correct, it has led to the inevitable end, which is death. 2 lives have now been thrown away. One, the life of a nurse who has passed away. The other, if again the allegations are correct, a 69-year-old man who, if found guilty, will spend the rest of his days in jail. At 69, most of us are looking to enjoy what we have left of this thing called life. The good book says that it is promised to us 10. And so at 69, really, you only have 1 year left on your roster. If by strength you are allowed some more, then that is a matter for God. But to think that at that age, violence is what will motivate somebody to commit such a crime, to engage in the death of someone, I think is simply tragic. But it speaks to a larger issue in our society, and one that I believe really needs consistent ventilation. We have spoken about it here on the show before, but I think it needs to be spoken of more often. And all of us, those of us in leadership, in government, those in leadership, in our churches, in our schools, in our business places, in our communities, all of us need to condemn with one voice this issue of domestic violence and this tendency among some of us to attack loved ones, to attack spouses, to attack partners in our homes. There's some men out there, and many argue that that's the way we've been socialized. I don't accept that, because I believe that we all have a choice. God gave us this thing called choice, and many people resort to, in my view, excuses. When they commit a crime, when they do something wrong, they start to tell you how traumatic their childhood was and how difficult things were and how poor they used to be. And they use that as a justification for their behavior. And so some say that we have a society that is misogynistic, a society that is very male-centered, a society that is male-dominated, and as a consequence of that, men feel like, as the head of the household, as the head of whatever they think they're the head of, that included in that is their right to beat, to use a colloquial expression, to lift their hand against the so-called weaker sex, the women, and to seek to attack and to denigrate and to heap abuse, both physical and mental. As I said, it is not restricted to men. Some women are also abusive in relationships. But we all know that the number of men who do it is far greater. That's what we see on a day-to-day basis. And so many men have thrown their lives away. They have a woman, they have a wife. Whatever happens or goes wrong in that relationship, they think that the best thing for them to do is to attack that woman or that wife. Sometimes women seek escape. They have fallen out of love. They have sought to move on with their lives. And here's some man who cannot let go, who seeks to see them and to attack them. And that is a story that is far too common all around our region and all around our world. We are not beasts of the field. We are human beings with intellect, with understanding. And I have marveled myself at the tendency of so many of us to make decisions based purely on emotion. Not based on any good sense, not applying our intellect and that choice that God has given to us, but rather reacting on emotion. My father, Irvin Leonard Brantley of blessed memory, always said to me that most decisions that are taken based on emotion are bad decisions. And much later, once the emotions have cooled, you start to think about it and you say, my goodness, that was a bad decision. How many of you today are in prison because you took a decision at the split second based on emotion? You're angry, upset about something, and you act in that moment, and you're now at 1840 for the rest of your life. We are human beings. We are not beasts of the field. And it behooves us, therefore, to function as rational thinking beings, to ensure that when confronted with situations, no matter how emotional they may be, no matter how hurtful some situations may be, that we allow our good sense to guide us and we walk away from situations. We have to learn to walk away. We have to learn not to raise our hand. We have to learn that our woman is not our child. We shouldn't even be raising our hands to our children in that way, far less a grown woman. Too many men are misguided in their approach to their relationship. If a woman says to you that she is no longer in love with you, she no longer wants a relationship with you, then that is her right and that is her choice. If she says that she is moving on, then for God's sake, let her move on. As they say, there is plenty fish in the sea. So if a woman decides to move on, then let her move on. And the best advice I can give to you men out there is go fishing and try to find someone else. And the same applies to you women. When a man says he's willing and ready to move on, then let him go. And you go fishing and find someone else. This notion that you must attack and abuse people, it really has to stop. And it has to stop for a number of reasons. For the trauma that it causes those involved, but also sometimes for children that are involved. Various studies have shown that children who grew up in households where there's domestic violence, they tend to themselves act out in violent ways as they get older. I do not want to hear about any more women, any more young women, especially girls, dying at the hands of their partners, or vice versa, men dying at the hands of their partners. We must learn to let go. We must learn to live and let live. We must understand that none of us are perfect. In fact, one of the things that I have marveled at over the years is a lot of men who get themselves involved in domestic violence. They accuse their wife or their loved one, their spouse, their partner, of cheating on them. But guess what? They're out there cheating every day. They have women up and down the island, up and down the place. But the minute they hear that their woman, sometimes one of their many women, has somebody else, you hear about confusion, and they come and they want to fight and want to beat up and want to do all kinds of things. I say it for the third time. We are human beings. We are not beasts of the field. Let us, in situations like those, pray, calm ourselves, and walk away. The price in terms of people's lives lost, in terms of people going to prison for the rest of their lives, it is not worth it. You think that gentleman at 69 years old would not like to be back in New York now with his loved ones? But he locked up somewhere at 1840, sharing some cell with others. You think when the reality sets in at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, will his tears spare him? And we need, brothers and sisters, to think. To think. And to leave the base emotions to one side. And to allow our humanity, our love, to prevail. And sometimes, when we say we love, it is best evidenced by walking away. You can't force any woman to stay with you. You can't force any man to stay with you. No matter how much you say you love me, if I don't want to be in a relationship with you, there's nothing that you can do to force me. And all of us must know when it's time to go. To pack up, because the Dolly house mash up, and it is time to go. So, tragic as the situation is, and I use this opportunity, of course, to extend my deepest condolences to the family of this beautiful nurse whom we have lost. Tragic as it is, let it be a lesson to us that we must say no to all forms of domestic violence, all forms of abuse against each other, physical, mental, emotional, and we must seek to cultivate healthy relationships that can lead us as a community and as a society to the right place. I will leave that to one side and raise some other matters. I see 20 minutes has gone already, so let me try to get through my list of matters. Those of you who are on social media, you will notice that we have this year continued as a government highlighting various small businesses around the island. I believe I saw a video highlighting a young woman, I believe her name is Aliyah, who has a small spa in Bart Village. We would have highlighted someone who has a smoothie place and a farm, Miss Fergus, I think her name is, there close to the St. James Anglican Church. And today I see that we would have highlighted a patty shop in the heart of Charlestown where they sell juicy patty. I want the public to understand that these efforts are not by chance. As a government, we have repeatedly said and demonstrated our commitment to small businesses on the island of Nevis. We have done many things to try to assist small businesses to become big businesses. We have done many things to encourage the entrepreneurial spirit in our Nevision people. And we have said and continue to say to our people that rather sometimes than constantly seeking a job and going and asking somebody for work, open your own business. You work for yourself. And if you work 7 days a week in your own business, you know that you're doing it for yourself and for your families. Business is not the province exclusively of wealthy people or certain people. Any of us can start a business because all of us are given some God-given talents. You may be braiding here, you may be styling here, you may be doing nails, you may be farming, you may be making smoothies or ice cream, you may be selling Freco. Whatever it is your business. And we are encouraging small businesses because around the world, it is not the Googles and the Microsofts that are the backbone of economies. It's a small business community, the mom and pop shop. Those are the background of communities globally. And so we continue as a government to demonstrate, not just say, but demonstrate. When the Premier of the island is going to accompany other cabinet colleagues and physically visit small businesses, take the cameras with us, create a short film, if you will, about that, and promote that on all of our platforms. What does it do? One, it says to that small business person, we value you. Two, it showcases that small business person and their business. Three, it leads to welcomed advertisement for free for that small business and their services. Four, it generates the right approach in our community, where we encourage our people to support local, to buy local, and to support our small businesses. We have, as you know, as one of our responses to the COVID-19 pandemic, secured $5 million from our dear friends, the Republic of China, Taiwan. And that money has been lent to various small businesses, emphasizing women and youth, in order for them to develop or to grow their small business. We have capped the amount at 100,000 EC dollars. But nevertheless, many have applied, and that money is being made available at a 3% interest rate. The idea is to create a revolving fund. So we encourage those who have benefited certainly to pay back so that we can help others. But ladies and gentlemen, that relending program was done, and it's administered through our Small Enterprise Development Unit, in order to provide seed capital, startup capital for small and micro businesses. And we've seen people who have come. They've said, you know, we need a better stove, a better oven, because we do baking, we do food production. We need a little van. We're into transportation. Various businesses have come and have benefited. And you see who we have emphasized: women and youth. We have said those two categories because we have found that those are the two categories that were being underserved in terms of business loans from our banks. Let's face it. If you are 18, 19, 20 years old and you have a business idea, which bank is going to lend you money to start your business at 18? The banks are going to want security. You'll perhaps have to get some life insurance for which you have to pay. You have to get probably some collateral, property, real estate or something which you have to put up for the bank. You have to have this business plan. You have to have a clear indication of how you're going to repay in terms of your stream of income. You have to pay negotiation fee and bank charges and all of this. And then if you have property, you have to get insurance for that property as well. All of this the banks require of you. If you're 18 or 19, there is very little chance, some may argue zero chance, that any of the commercial banks in Charlestown will take a chance on you. And that is why the government stepped in and created this fund. And we said, listen, we're not requiring you to come with any security and come with any collateral and all of that. We want you to come with your idea, and our experts at CDU are going to guide you. They're going to work with you, and we try to provide training, assistance, encouragement in order for you to set up or to expand your existing business. And many have benefited. Of course, our policy is that we're trying to target those who we refer to as not being bankable. And that is why we've said women and youth, because a lot of women and youth find themselves in a position where they do not have the prerequisites or the requirements that the commercial banks would demand of them. And so we say, we as the government, providing this little seed capital, the idea is to promote more small businesses. But then we haven't stopped there. We have put in place various concessions. In fact, small businesses continue to benefit from a reduced tax on their business operations. That tax, I believe, called an unincorporated business tax, if I recall correctly, it was at 4%. It is now at 2% and has been at 2% now since COVID. It has not gone back up. We have continued to work with small businesses where we offer various concessions at the port, usually on startup equipment and supplies. We have worked with small businesses, and we are currently fashioning a further package of concessions to make the small businessman more viable. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have embarked on a massive campaign to highlight small businesses, to go around. We recognize, of course, we can't go to every business, but those who know me at the individual level, every single morning I wake up, people are sending me their flyer, their business proposal, their advertisement for me to put out for them. Somebody said to me the other day, whenever they want to know where to have lunch on Nevis, they go to my WhatsApp status, because every morning the various restaurants are sending me their menu and I post it up. I want to see more of us doing that. You know why? It doesn't cost anything. It does not cost us a thing to take a few seconds and to post a flyer or word of encouragement for our small business community. And so as we go around, we go into the highways and byways of this island, we promote, we film, we expose and give far greater oomph to our small business community. I want our people to embrace each other and to support each other. We see others have come to our communities. In the various communities, we see the Chinese have come, they open their shop, they open their thing. Nothing is wrong with that. But a lot of times we are quick to go and spend our money at that shop, but we don't want to spend our money with our own local people. So I encourage us. Let us, where we can, support. We will continue in that effort in terms of small business promotion. But there's also a lot of big business that is happening. The opposition in Nevis has been telling all that would listen that nothing is happening on the island of Nevis. Well, in fairness, I don't hear them saying it recently, because I think even to their ears it must sound silly. But that was a big talk for a while. And they said there were no investors coming. You remember they said the investors are out to sea? Well, my goodness, the investors are coming ashore. Some are coming on planes, some are coming on cruise ships, some are coming on canoe, some are swimming, some are wading, but they're coming ashore. Yesterday, I was invited to say a few words at the Four Seasons Resort, where they've just broken ground on a multi-million-dollar new development called Nevis Peak, or Peak Residences, Peak Residences. And this is a new development which is going to happen within the Four Seasons Enclave, and which is going to offer a new chapter, they say, in luxury living on the island of Nevis. I was very pleased to be there and to hear that already on paper, or I should say off paper, they've already had almost 50% of the units sold. That's remarkable. In my very, very brief comments there, I congratulated the investors and developers, but also said that what for me it evidences is the tremendous confidence in the local economy and the steady leadership that Nevis has. And I keep making the point, ladies and gentlemen, money, investors are not going where they're not comfortable. They are not going to invest in an island where they have no confidence in the government and the government's policies. People want stability. People want a sober type of leadership that is leading in a particular way. And I am saying that on the island of Nevis, that's exactly what they have. And so these developers have no hesitation in breaking ground yesterday on a multi-million US dollar development, which will provide jobs, taxes, and benefits to the island of Nevis. At the ceremony, I saw fellows there who do landscaping. I saw surveyors. I saw electricians. I saw plumbers. There were people there who are and will be the contractors and subcontractors on the project. And they will be earning for the foreseeable future from a project like that. I am here tonight to tell you that we will in short order be announcing some additional major projects that are in the works for the island of Nevis. We are not yet in a position to do so because the cabinet would not yet have signed off on some of these projects, and in some cases would not yet have seen a final submission in relation to these projects. But stay tuned, because we are poised now to take Nevis to the next level insofar as investment and economy are concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, let me move on, because as we talk about investment, I invite you to do as I have done on occasions, to walk around Charlestown. We see right there at the main square in Charlestown that a new building has been erected. That is now complete and occupied. When we walk down a bit and we decide to go up that street that leads us up to the beautiful Methodist Church, we see the Methodist Church is under construction. And this government has been very pleased to partner with the Methodist community in seeking to restore that historic building. Massive project being done there. I want to commend the Methodist community and the leadership for what they're doing in the heart of Charlestown to restore that majestic building. But right next to that, we see a commercial building there that is now nearing its completion. You walk around with me, if you will, and you get there by Jew Street, next to the Jewish cemetery, and the old Hermes fancy store has been purchased and completely refurbished. You continue to walk with me and you go down now Government Road, to the foot of Government Road, and you turn left onto the main street, and you see the Charlestown Police Station that also now is nearing completion, completely retrofitted, a federal government project. Right across the street from the Charlestown Police Station, there's an empty lot. And I believe I can say so because it is not a matter of secret knowledge, it's a matter of public knowledge, that that lot is owned by Amri Enterprises from St. Kitts. And I was pleased to speak to my friend Ernest Amry in the last week or so, and he tells me that he's getting to a point now where fairly soon they will start construction of a commercial enterprise there to host Amry's Bakery and other commercial interests. You leave there and you decide you're going to walk uptown. So you're going up the road now. You get to the ETW Park and you continue walking up. You get right there next to the beautiful Bath Stream. We have Lefco undertaking a massive development there at Bath Plain, whatever you want to call that area. You realize I've only been walking for 10 minutes and the number of projects that I would have mentioned. You go back into town. If you go up and walk up Happy Hill, right there on the right side as you're going up, there was a residence there, a wooden residence that has now been removed because First Federal from St. Kitts are indicating that they will shortly be putting up their commercial building in that space. I haven't been walking for 15 minutes yet. And all of that is happening in Charlestown. Let's not even talk about what's going on up there in Gingerland, right in front of Gingerland High School, with my good friend Sean. In fact, Sean, I'm told today is your birthday. If you're listening, happy birthday, my brother. But he and his team are investing significantly. And I say kudos to the Honorable Eric Evelyn, because he's been a strong advocate for things to happen in Gingerland. And they're investing significantly there at 869. Putting up not one, but two significant buildings at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, drive around this island as I like to do. Go pull off some of the side roads. You see the extent of construction that's happening on Nevis is unprecedented. Never seen it like this before. And it is not happening in isolation, because a lot of these projects are benefiting from deliberate policy decisions that we have taken as a government to stimulate the construction sector. And even our neighbors in the region are responding, because we see people flocking to Nevis for work, because there's work here. Praise be to God. As I talk about work, let me point out that at the Department of Labor, we have at that department introduced something that we are calling, if you will, a job center, an employment agency. And I ask those of you who are out there maybe looking for work, those of you who have recently come to the island and you're looking for work, engage with our Department of Labor. They put out on a weekly basis what jobs they have available, and as of the 8th of April, their recent notice is saying that they have positions: beautician, nail technician, massage therapist, hairstylist, salesperson, cashier, cooks, mechanic, housekeeper. All of those are positions that they have available. When I say they have available, the way it works is that employers list with the Department of Labor jobs that they have, and then the Department of Labor puts out that information. While I'm talking about jobs, Telemed Partners, one of our local call centers, their office is at the top of Happy Hill in the Saint Jean building, and they are hiring again. And they've asked me, please, to tell you that if you're looking for a job in a dynamic environment, you can call 667-3443. 667-3443 if you are looking for a job in that type of dynamic environment. Telemed Partners is hiring. And I'm not just going to give you that, I'm going to give you an email address. So the number again is 667-3443, and the email address is CONFRANCIS, that's ConFrancis, CONFRANCIS at telemedpartners.com, TELAMEDPARTNERS.com. So email your resume, your application to confrancis@telemedpartners.com or call 667-3443. The people are begging you. They're looking for people to hire. You see how many jobs I just mentioned in one breath? All available to you. And so we're asking that you take advantage of these opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, Nevis is moving. It is moving in the right direction. And my policy of ignoring the foolish noise that we hear and being focused on building this island, that is the government's approach, and it is working. We're seeing more jobs, we're seeing more investment, we're seeing more local people, more small businesses. We are seeing that it's working, and our people are now going out to work. I dare say that anybody on this island who wants work can find work. And if you want more evidence of that, look at the large numbers of brothers and sisters from our region who are flocking into this island. Where do you think people moving, leaving their home to go look for hard life? No. Just as we left Nevis when things were hard to go out there in the world to look for a better life, so people out there are hearing about Nevis and are saying, let's go to Nevis, jobs down there, work down there, a better life is down there, let's go and make life. That's what we did when we went to St. Martin. That's what we did when we went to Tortola, Anegada, Virgin Gorda, St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John's. That's what we did when we went to Puerto Rico. And now other people are saying Nevis has now come of age where we must go to Nevis to make a better life for ourselves and our families. I say praise be to God. Because I did not know in my lifetime that Nevis would be at such a position that we would start to attract people coming in looking for work and finding work and building life and helping us to develop this island. You hear in the words of Miko's song, say walking in tongue, you see all kind of Trini and Guyanese. Nevis nice. People are coming. And I say praise be to God, because nobody run into hardship. People run away from hardship. People are coming to Nevis because they're seeing opportunity. And their cousin come and the cousin call back home and say, Punsi, come, job down here. Job down here, Punsi, come. That is what we're experiencing here. So while you have some here who every day they wake up and they spew negativity, now study them. If they're bitter because they have not accomplished anything with their lives. And you know how difficult it is, ladies and gentlemen, that you get to a ripe old age, when you get to the realization, as all of us must at some point, of knowing that you have more years behind you than in front of you. And then you start to look at all those wasted years, 5, 6 decades in some instance, and you start to hold your head and say, you don't have a thing. You have not accomplished a thing. And then guess what? You start to vex with people. That's why some of them are cussing young people. Because they vex that young people at 25, 27, 30 are making their way, using their talents that God has given them, using their time wisely. Young people now are not like the foolish virgins who didn't prepare for the return of the master. No. Young people are making their way, making their mark. And some of these old, disgruntled fellows vex, upset to all, because they know that they have not done anything with their lives and their talents. Wasted them. So when they go on the radio all day, all night cussing, that's what they are capable of, cussing. They're not capable of anything else. But I have come to the conclusion it is not that they are really angry with me, you know. It's not that they're really angry with you, young people and others. They are angry at themselves because they know, as all of us know. I tell people all the time, all of us have that 4 a.m. epiphany. When you wake up and you can't get back to sleep and you're alone with your thoughts and you know and you must accept, dear God, I've been a failure. I have wasted my life. And some people with that realization, they seek to do something positive with the days that they have left. Others become contorted with anger and venom towards anyone and anything that they see as progressive. How dare you have a house and I don't have one? How dare you have a career and I don't have one? That's the reality. And it's unfortunate. But my view is that those few natural neighbors of extreme negativity, let them stay there talking to themselves. You, people of Nevis, you have a progressive government. Let us work together and build this island. Because the evidence is all around us of the great things that are happening on the island of Nevis. Let me leave matters there and open the lines and see whether or not there's anybody out there who would like to speak to us. And if you would like to speak to us, the numbers are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. We have a few other matters that we'd like to put on the table tonight, but we open the phones and we see the phones are lit up right away. So we say, good evening, you are on the mark. Hello?
Sheriff, good evening.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. Proverbs 15, verse 13 and 14. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. The heart of him that had understanding seeketh knowledge, but the mouth of fool feedeth on foolishness. Good night to all who was asking for me last week. I was on the Monday track having a good time.
You were there with your team?
And I reached, he was just finished.
You were there with your team?
Thank you.
Huh? Hello?
Hello?
I say you were there with your team as usual?
As usual, you know that. Orange, after orange come prospect, purple.
All right, my dear. Take good care. And thank you so much. And yes, certainly we had a big celebration last week. The Orange team, that is the Charlestown Primary School, won for the 6th time in a row. So congratulations to them again. And I know you had your grandchildren going there, and they were all great athletes as well. So thank you, and thank you for your scripture as always. The lines are open, so if you want to call, 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Just to say to the listening public that the Concerned Citizens Movement is having a massive Mother's Day event. Please stay tuned. We are going to be coming to you with something very special for Mother's Day, and this will be for all the mothers on the island, and we're asking them to come out and celebrate with us. But more information is coming. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night, Honorable Brantley.
Good evening to you.
I am not staying so late tonight. I come in early.
Good.
Okay. I'm reading 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become a sounding brass or tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understanding of mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Charity suffereth long, and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, and is not puffed up, does not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinking no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease, and whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I become a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but that face to face, now I know in part, that then shall I know, even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. Here ended the reading of the scripture. Have a good night, Mr. Brantley, and you keep on. Speak the truth. You hear?
Thank you very much.
All right, that's the best thing to do.
All right.
Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
Night.
We've started the show on a good note tonight. We have 2 scriptures, and we say thank you to both of our regular callers. It is certainly a good place to start in terms of the calls, and I hope that sets the tone for other calls that I hope will come. Again, 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show this evening. Today at the Cabinet, the Honorable Eric Evelyn would have reported on the Agro, what's it called now? The Agro Fest, I think, Agro Expo. That is the former agricultural fair that is now growing and growing each year. We had more vendors, more stalls this year. We had, of course, a usual contingent that came from Seba. We want to say thank you to them. And we see people coming also from Statia, I'm told. And we want to thank those from St. Kitts who also came over in their numbers. I think this is a signature event for the agricultural department here each year. And it really showcases all that is happening on this island in relation to food security and the strides that we're making in agriculture on Nevis. So I say kudos to the Honorable Eric Evelyn and his team. Very well done. Of course, last week the whole island was in mini Olympics mania, and the earlier caller would have said, of course, that Charleston Primary would have won again. I want to extend congratulations to the Honorable Troy Liebert and the entire team in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports, who pulled off flawlessly the Mini Olympics. It's the largest single sporting event of its kind in the Federation, and it continues to draw large crowds from St. Kitts and Nevis to that event and that venue. And I say kudos to them. A lot has been happening on the island, a lot of positivity, a lot of things that we can be proud of. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just a few days ago, I happened to be in St. Kitts, and I decided to go to the countryside, and I ended up over in St. Paul's, and I had been there at some points before, but I decided to go back to a particular shop there because I found that the people were very warm, very welcoming. And so I was in the heart of St. Paul's at the shop. In fact, the shop is located right next door to where the Honorable Foreign Minister and former Prime Minister Dr. Denzel Douglas has his residence. And sitting there and engaging with the people, I was struck that St. Kitts and Nevis is truly a special place. We have a truly special place here, a truly special country. And it is for each and every one of us to recognize that and to protect it. I was there and I was engaged and I had a wonderful time. Let me take this call and then come back to my sojourn in St. Paul's. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Honorable Premier. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening, good to hear your voice. I'm well, thank you.
Well, as soon as I was about to pick up the phone to call to speak about the Agri Expo, you forced me.
Well, and of course, you have the detailed information.
Yes, I wanted to call because I didn't get a chance to call last week. As you rightly indicated, last week, everybody was at the Mondo track for the Mini Olympics, so I didn't get a chance to call last week. So I've decided to call this week just to extend some heartfelt thanks to all who supported. It was a fantastic event once again. And as you rightly said, it's an event that has grown tremendously over the years. It is definitely one of the largest events on the island when you have the 2 days combined in terms of attendance. I know the Mini Olympics is the single largest event on a particular one day, but when you combine the Thursday and the Friday, when you look at the attendance at both days, I believe nothing can rival the Agri Expo. Of course, this year we celebrated our 29th anniversary, and so next year will be a milestone for us. Next year will be our 30th anniversary of the Agri Expo. And as you rightly would have indicated, as you said, it has grown tremendously. We are very, very pleased, and I wanted to take this opportunity as the Minister with Responsibility for Agriculture to just say thanks to all who supported in any way that you would have supported to make this event the massive success that it was again in 2025. The reviews, the feedback has been exceptional. I was there for both days. The turnout was excellent on both days. I can tell you, Honorable Premier, and I can tell our listeners that every year the number of persons who participate in the Agri Expo continues to increase. Last year, I was reliably informed that last year we had over 50 paying vendors. This year we had over 70 paying vendors. And I was also very heartened to see the number of vendors who come over from our sister island of St. Kitts to be a part of this grand event as well. And we are all embracing, all welcoming, and we are always very happy when people can come out in their numbers to be a part of the event. Everybody wants to be a part of Agri Expo, because I can tell you, Honorable Premier, and I said this at last year, at the conclusion of the event last year, that this is an event that provides a solid injection into the economy of Nevis, a solid injection. Of course, our vendors who were there, I believe all of them were smiling going all the way to the bank. The food vendors, some of them sold out on both Thursday and Friday. The vegetable vendors did extremely well. The persons who were selling plants did extremely well. And I think generally all of the vendors would have done well on both days. You had persons who would have come on the Thursday and return on the Friday. Some would have waited for the Friday to come. And I am very pleased in terms of the way the event was organized. I've been getting, as I said, good reviews for persons who came, who said they came for the first time. I remember I met 4 ladies there from St. Kitts, and they said to me, "Listen, we had to come this year. We heard you on the mark last week talking about the Agri Expo. We have never come, and we had to come this year to get it, to experience it for ourselves." And so the message is getting out there, and more people are coming out. Of course, we know we normally have a lot of persons from St. Kitts who come over to Nevis for this event. The numbers keep growing every year. You did indicate our friends from Statia. They continue coming their numbers. I think this year we had over 140 again, and as I would have indicated last year as well, I mean, the boats that are actually used to transport the folks from Statia and take them back are boats that are from the Federation. And so the money is actually coming to the Federation for the transport. And I can tell you, when those patrons from Statia come, they come with a mission. They come to buy. And when I say buy, I mean buy, Honorable Premier. I mean, when you look at those persons heading back down to the pier on the Thursday afternoon, it is amazing in terms of the number of plants, in terms of produce, and so on. And so I want to say kudos and commendation to the staff at the Ministry and the Department of Agriculture for once again putting on an extraordinary event. Putting on an event of this magnitude is not easy in terms of organizing, and so the organizing and the execution has been really good over the years. I think they are, over the years, they have gotten extremely good at putting on this event, and so the planning would have started in earnest since last year. And I want to commend and give kudos to the entire team at the Department and the Ministry of Agriculture for once again rising to the challenge and ensuring that persons who come to the event come and witness an event of class, of quality. They come and they can get what they need. And of course, as I said, people just go crazy in terms of buying the local produce. You know, we had some massive watermelons there. I mean, onions, local sweet potato, local everything, Honorable Premier. And so it goes back to what you were saying a while ago in terms of when people are saying the negative stuff, that nothing is happening and that sort of stuff. But it is evident, based on what we saw at the Agri Expo, that a lot is happening on the island of Nevis. I want to give kudos to all of the different divisions at the Department of Agriculture. Kudos to all of the vendors who came out, all of our allied agencies. We can't thank them enough. And of course, all who would have come to support, to purchase, to be a part of the event. It was an overall grand event, and I really want to say thanks to all the stakeholders for once again making this event the grand event it was. As I said, next year will be our 30th anniversary, and so people can expect something even better for next year.
Minister, thank you for that, because I think, as I've said, the beautiful thing about this particular event is how it's used each year to showcase what we're doing in agriculture on Nevis. You know that I'm very passionate, and in fact, I keep saying that this response to COVID, one of the big responses that we made was in fact in the area of food security.
Indeed.
You recall when we went out to look at the small businesses and visited a few of them, that we spoke to a young lady, Miss Fergus.
Yes.
Over there, who has, I think, KL Blends, Smooth Blends, I think her business is called. A smoothie business. And one of the things that she said struck me, stayed with me, because she said that during COVID, she started to farm. She started to farm.
Yes.
And she said that she wanted to thank Banky, because Banky would have provided her with some fencing wire and things like that. And I smiled when she said so, because yes, Banky would have been the officer there, but the free fencing wire was part of a program, if you recall.
In the ministry.
Exactly. So it was a program from the ministry, and so I smiled when she said it, because I said, look at this. This is what good policies do.
Of course.
They reach to the people who need it. Here's a young woman who pivoted during COVID to growing her own food. She now has her smoothie shop where she's getting her fruits, her watermelon. Remember that very sweet watermelon?
Very, very sweet.
Yeah, her honeydew.
And it was a huge melon as well.
Yes, absolutely. But she's growing them herself, and she commented on the assistance that she got from the Ministry and Department of Agriculture in terms of drip lines, fencing wire, etc. And I thought that was instructive.
Indeed.
Because it really says to us that these policies, some people may not pay attention, but they're reaching the people who need it. And that young lady is an example of someone who has used those policies and the benefits to now be in her own small business and providing for herself and her family.
Indeed, shining example, because as you rightly indicated, and I would always say this, Honorable Premier, and I will always boast this, and of course it's a policy from the Nevis Island administration, and I don't think there was any government in the region that provided the kind of support to our farmers, our backyard gardeners, as did the Nevis Island administration. I mean, practically, we gave away free wire, free light ration, free seeds, free seedlings, free fertilizer, It was free labor. I mean, there was free water. We can't forget that. I mean, some farmers were getting free water for almost 2 years. And, you know, this is something that we should always be mindful of, that this is an administration that provides that support, and extremely good support as well, to our farmers and to our backyard gardeners. Some persons actually got their start in agriculture during the COVID-19 pandemic, when the department and the Ministry of Agriculture was giving away everything practically. And we are delighted that we would have done that, and we are happy that people are now recognizing what that did for them, as would have been the case with Miss Fergus. Because of course, as she would have indicated, yes, she was doing the smoothies, but she wanted to produce her own food. And of course, you realize, based on the start that she would have gotten, she's not only producing the fruits and so on for her smoothies, but she's also doing farming in general. She had some excellent quality butternut squash there. You know? And so it shows that what we are doing in terms of as an administration is always to benefit our small businesses, including our farmers.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Eric Evelyn, for that very comprehensive report. I'm truly grateful for your call. And again, the what was it called?
Agri-Expo.
Agri-Expo. The Agri-Expo is a shining example of what we have been able to achieve here. And when I see young people like Akeisha Fergus saying that they're in farming and they benefited from our programs and policies, I love to see that. It warms my heart, because it means that we're on the right track. So thank you, and thank you for all the excellent work that you do. And I want to say again,
just before I go as well, I want to just say thanks to the patrons for being on their best behavior. Thank God we didn't have any undue incidents, and we were very happy for that. We went late on the second night, and people were on their best behavior. So I want to thank all the patrons who came out and behaved well.
Eric Evelyn, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Good night, my brother.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Honorable Deputy Premier and our Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, and he was calling in. Our lines are open, so if there are others out there who want to call, 469-1616, 469-1700. My name is Mark Brantley. I'm the host tonight of On the Mark, and this is Straight Talk Across the Narrows, right here on the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, VON Radio, the voice of Nevis. We invite you to call with your views and opinions as we continue to have a meaningful conversation about what's happening here on the island and what's happening across the country, the region, and the world. Now, I was reporting to you on my trip to St. Paul's in St. Kitts, and I want again to go on record to thank the people that I interacted with for their warmth and their welcoming nature. And while I was there, I was reminded of how interconnected these islands are, because a Rasta fellow came there and he had us all laughing. He was a most jovial fellow. But he said to me, "You know a fellow named Lavelle?" I said, "Who named Lavelle?" He said, "Lalbo. That's my brother. Jessica is my sister." And he started telling me all about Bat Village. And I said, "Look at this." I said to him, "Man, Lalbo is like a brother to me." And I even made a joke with him. I said, "Well, how Jessica is so pretty and you're so ugly." Man, he thought that was funny. We had a really good time. And then there was a lady inside the shop who I went to order the drinks from. And he said to me, I said, "You know this lady?" He said, "Yes, that's my godmother." When he said the godmother, the lady looked around, watch him and said, "Who you be, boy? Boy, who you be?" And I almost died laughing, because I said, imagine a man claiming the lady as his godmother. And the lady don't know him. But real good people, salt of the earth. And as I said, it reminded me that in our country we have something very special. Let us not waste it. Let us love each other, work together, see how we can rally with each other and build each other, because we have a very special country that is St. Kitts and Nevis. So, huge shout out to the people of St. Paul's. Thank you for receiving me. And people are calling asking, when am I going to be in Keon, when am I going to be in Tabernacle, etc. Well, when I get a chance. But I have made it a point to go to every nook and cranny in St. Kitts and Nevis and to know my country. And I believe that all of us should make a similar pledge to do the same. It is 10 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock. We have, therefore, 50 minutes left in this show tonight. And so we have ample time to take your calls and for you to share your views and opinions with us. And so we invite you to call. Again, the numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and 1-869-469-1700. Now, let me shift gears now and talk about some external issues. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a situation where, of course, President Donald Trump, President of the United States, the most talked about human being in the planet at this point. Let's take this call. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes, good evening. Could you raise your voice a bit so we can hear you?
Yeah, I have a concern, right? Two. One, could you, well, I've been hearing a lot concerning this visa business, the three or five islands in the Caribbean. I don't understand. Could you speak to that concerning the visa and traveling to the United States?
Yes.
And then the other thing I have, it's a concern I have and not only me alone, but a lot of people speak to it in these supermarkets. You go into the supermarket, and most of us we don't have the money to spend like some people, and so we have to be careful when we go what we picking up. And when you go to the shelves, then there is no price. They don't have a price list there. And some of these tellers, when you go up there and you ask them the prices, like they have some kind of inferior complex. You're not supposed to ask them anything. And sometimes when you carry certain items, you might carry two items up there, the same product but different brand, to find out what the price. And then they're done there, you have to carry it back. But usually you don't have to carry it back. If you want to, you carry it back. Because when you go there, the price is supposed to be on these things. So I am trying to find out if there's what you call a consumer office department or whatever you call it, to see that the prices on the shelves to the product, because Rams, Best Buy, the majority, there is no indication as to what the thing costs. And something needs to be done about it.
Okay, well, caller, I wasn't aware of that. I think that's a fair point that you're making, because you must know what the item is and what the cost is of the item that you're picking up. And you wouldn't want to have to go to the cashier to then, as you say, have to take it back or to leave it there. So I believe that is a matter for the supermarkets. That for me is just proper customer service, and I'm hopeful that they're listening to you. My very first job as a youngster in school was packing shelves at what was a little super right there, Chapman's supermarket in Charlestown. And I will tell you that was one of the things that we had to do. We had to put the price on either you put it. We had a machine that you either put it on the cans, or you put it on the shelf where you're going to stack the cans and the goods. So the prices are usually displayed, and that I'm talking about 30 years ago. So I'm surprised at what you're saying to me, that no prices are displayed on items. So if that is the case, I'm hoping that those supermarkets would do better, because you're right, people need to know what the prices are so they know how to cut their cloth to suit how they can spend a little money that they have. You asked about some countries and U.S. visa. What happened, caller? There was a report in the New York Times that spoke about a number of countries that had been put by the Trump administration on a list. Some absolute banning them from traveling, citizens of those countries from traveling to the United States. Then you have others where there was going to be some kind of partial ban, and then they had another group, including St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda were on that list, and Dominica, I believe, where it said that they had given us 60 days to respond if we did not want our people to be banned. Naturally, that caused alarm, but the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Drew said that he had not received any notification from the United States. Our embassy in Washington, D.C. knew nothing about it. The U.S. Embassy in Barbados knew nothing about it. Gaston Brown, Prime Minister Brown in Antigua, said something similar. Prime Minister Pierre in St. Lucia said something similar. Prime Minister Skerritt in Dominica said something similar. And then the White House itself, the White House press secretary, denied that there was any such list. So we don't know what that was all about, caller. But at this point in time, we are not aware of any difficulties with the United States or anything to do with our people traveling to or from the United States. So I'm not, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's a landscape that keeps changing every day. But as we're currently advised, there are no issues between St. Kitts and Nevis and the U.S. or any issues affecting our people's ability to travel to the United States as usual. So we'll wait and see what happens, but that is how this thing came up. I don't know if it was fake news. They said it was a leaked document, but the White House denied that there was any such document. So we'll just have to leave it there for now until we have further information. I was, prior to that caller, and incidentally, callers, you may be listening, but please feel free to interrupt because this is the time when we're taking calls. But prior to that caller calling, I was talking about President Trump, the most talked about person in the world at the moment. And President Trump has announced a series of tariffs on various countries, even little St. Kitts and Nevis. He said he's putting 10% tariff on St. Kitts and Nevis. I don't know what the tariff is going to be on, but he said tariff on St. Kitts and Nevis of 10%, and all around the world he has been put tariffs. The result of this announcement of tariffs was that the stock market in America dropped precipitously. And so today, President Trump announced that he was putting a hold, a freeze on the implementation of those tariffs for 90 days. And the only country that he was going to go ahead with 125% tariffs on is China. Everybody else, he said, he was putting on hold for 90 days and allowing those countries to come. I believe I saw him in a statement today saying that over 70 countries, he claims, were in the U.S., South Korea, Japan, and others, to negotiate with him, and that they were coming to see him in order to negotiate. Bottom line is, there's a debate going on, a raging debate as to whether these tariffs will lead to a global trade war. He has, of course, announced tariffs on friends and foes alike, Canada, Mexico, and other countries. And so we will get back to that discussion. I see the phones are lit up, so let's take this call. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Brantley.
Yes, good evening.
Country running slow, boy. No excitement, no buzz, no energy in the country. Take all your life out the country. You're going to sleep on the country, man. A Van Winkle you be.
Well, it got to be you going to be going to sleep.
No, man, you're going to sleep.
But everybody else I know is wide awake and working.
No, you're sleeping on the country.
Okay.
Chicken facility, nada. Pool spear, nada. Deep water P expansion, nada. Upgrade of the Mondo facility, nada. Civet Center in Charleston, nada. College, nada. Warehouse sitting down in the heart of town, up to this day, can't transform in a two-story shopping center. Visitors come off the boat complaining, can't find a place to browse. Nivision come in a town, can't find a place to browse. Nivision come home with Culturama, can't find a place to browse. I think it's we all got to go. I think it started with the Pelican Mall, and everybody used to go by the Pelican Mall in the early 90s. All you hear is Pelican Mall, Pelican Mall. Pelican Mall in a gigantic place. Wing, nada. Geothermal dead in the earth, nada. Airport, still a matchbox, nada. No hotel, no casino, no shopping center, no factories, no villa resort. Not one of these things could start, now finish. Sleeping, man, sleeping.
But caller, we have lots of schools.
Lots of what?
Schools.
Schools.
School.
A steady job people want to know.
No, but I'm saying we had a lot of school. If you had go, you wouldn't have been saying nada. You'd have been saying something.
No.
Because the reality is, caller. Caller, the reality is. Caller. You hear I didn't interrupt you? I let you talk. No, I didn't interrupt you. I allowed you to speak. Caller.
We need to
caller, you see, that's
your project on the island.
Caller, herein lies the problem. Caller, herein lies the problem. That is why some of us don't learn.
Going, man. Start get some projects going.
You understand, caller?
Get some projects going.
That is why some of us do not learn.
We here, we can't get no work going.
Caller, all right.
Not one thing kicking off.
Caller, are we going to have a conversation, or are you just going to read off the paper what you have?
We need some steady jobs.
So are we going to have a conversation, caller, or are you just going to read off the paper?
We need some steady job going on the island.
Okay.
You want people coming in, but you ain't providing no work for the people.
Caller, can I respond to you now?
No
can I respond to you now?
But you're cutting me off all the time, so let me talk.
Listen. Caller, you say nada, I will say adios. Because you're not calling in to have a conversation, you're calling in to have a monologue. Right? So, listen to me. If you can't find work, then something is wrong with you. The reason I mentioned school, because you may need to go back there and listen. I could understand why you behave that way, because I am trying to have a conversation with you and you can't listen. People who can't listen can't learn, and that is the difficulty. If you in all good conscience can look around Nevis and say nothing is happening in Nevis, something is wrong with you. A matter of fact, I think I recognize the voice. And the last time you called this show, you were working on a project and calling to say there's no work, to the point where your boss called me and said to me, you got to be a lunatic, because here you are working on a project and cussing the government, say there's no work, when the government had provided a project on which you were working. Caller, sometimes you need to listen, and not because somebody give you a script to read, you call in and read it. Sometimes when they bring it, tell them, I am not reading this is foolishness, you read it yourself. Because if you look around Nevis and say nothing, I just listed out a number of construction projects just in Charlestown. Just in Charlestown. And you say nothing is going on? We just celebrated the most successful inter-primary sports that we've seen in years. Thousands of people at the Mondo track, and you say nothing is going on? The minister, the deputy premier just called in and reported on the Agri Expo, and you say nothing is going on? I just don't understand sometimes why our people continue to try to persuade us that night is day and day is night. Of course there are issues that we can discuss. Of course there are projects that need to be done. But caller, you have to be nada if you don't understand what is going on this island. You say that Nevisians have to go to St. Well, that's marvelous of you to say, because I went down to Pinnis just the other day, Pinnis Park and the new extension there where all the restaurants are, and the number of petitions that are hanging out in Nevis saying there's no place like that in the entire federation. None. So what really are you coming and calling tonight? Nada, nada, nada. You need to be able to understand, and the only way you can get understanding is if you develop the ability to listen and to reason. Because if you don't listen and you don't reason, then what are you? Let's go back to the phones. 25 minutes past there. We're taking your calls. Caller? Oh, I'm so sorry. Please call back in, caller. We're delighted to take your call. I just would like our people to have an understanding of development. And when they engage, because this is a big show with people listening throughout the world, when you engage in a manner that people can say, okay, that was uplifting. Not that sound like chuppiness. That was uplifting. That taught me something. Because sometimes when people call in, and that's the problem. And you see, when they call in, they don't want a conversation, They want to just call and read off whatever piece of paper has been handed to them, read that off, and then hang up the phone. because a conversation will allow an opportunity to say, all right, that is your point, this is my point. I respond to you this way. You ask about jobs. Just tonight, I listed out a number of jobs available through our Labor Department. I indicated that Telemed Partners is looking for workers. In fact, while I'm here, the young lady Fiona texts me to say that they now have 45 workers there and they're looking for more. All of that I said tonight on this show. We have the call center in Brantley now employing over 100 people. That's a separate call center. You talk to the folks who are down at Four Seasons. I was there yesterday, as I said, for the groundbreaking call, and maybe you tuned in late. For a multi-million US dollar development at Four Seasons. Well, how much more needs to happen for some of us to say, yes, things are happening? Caller, when you go around Nevis, the number of non-nationals that you see, the number of Caribbean brothers and sisters from St. Lucia, Dominica, Trinidad, Guyana, Dominican Republic, they're all here. Well, why are they doing here? They coming to look for hard life? No, they come because there's an opportunity here. Just as we years ago went out to look for opportunity, they are now coming and finding and seeking opportunities here as well. So you're saying all of them foolish? All of these people stupid? All of them rushing into a Nevis where nothing happening? Caller, let's get real. And as I said, let us, when we engage with each other at a standard that really reflects the fact that we have a 99% literacy rate on this island of Nevis. Let us not engage with each other in a fashion that leaves people wondering whether we can read and write. Let us do so in a manner that lifts everybody, lifts each other, and lifts those out there who are listening. Okay, caller? So, as I said, I know you don't cost even the job that you have. So, we understand your difficulty. But don't try to pass it on to the rest of Nevis, because the rest of Nevis is doing quite well. As indeed are you. As indeed are you. And may you continue to do well. But when people come with a script and give you and tell you, call in and read this, tell them read it themselves. Because at the end of the day, it's you who sound foolish, not them. Tell them read it themselves. I think that's a better approach for you, and that's my free advice to you. But this notion that nothing is happening in Nevis, that dog there, done dead, that's not going to sell, because everybody in Nevis can see and feel and touch what is happening on this island. And if you don't walk out and you don't know, I suggest that you start by just walking through Charlestown. 15 minutes. If you like, call me tomorrow and I'll take you on a tour and show you what is happening on the island. Since it seems to me that you're blind, I will open your eyes, work a miracle, and show you. Let's go back to the phones. We have about half an hour left. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yeah, Mark, good evening. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, I just tuned in a few minutes ago. I was listening at the beginning of the program, but I tuned out and I just tuned back in. So I heard you start speaking in reference to the unfortunate incident we had over the weekend. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to your caller.
Yeah. And but I just want to say straight that no one has the right to do what is wrong. And no give me no excuse, all kind of foolishness and nonsense that I would have heard. Nobody has a right to do what is wrong. Nobody has a right to kill. Right? But I guess I'll probably leave that another time, because I definitely would have liked to expound a lot more on that. But there are other very important issues that I want to deal with. I was to ask you last week, because I haven't heard the last caller for some time. So I was to ask you, if there's no burning issues on the island or in the Federation. because I used to hear him calling and so on, asking about something cricket and culturama and all kind of different things. So I was to ask you. So I heard him, and you're right in the sense that if you call in and the hosts want to maybe ask a question, have some clarity, whatever, that you can have a constructive, mature, responsible dialogue, because that is what the program should be all about. Or any program, any station, that when you call in, you have a level of discussion, interaction, conversation,
But caller, only through that can we help edify and educate each other and those who are listening. It doesn't mean we have to agree. But if you have your point, I have my point, and through the exchange, people are enlightened as to what is happening on the island. What is the difficulty that we have in Nevis is some of these fellas, they are given a script and they just call in and they read, and they don't want to engage because they really have no capacity to answer. They have no, if you ask me where the jobs are, but you don't want me to answer, you don't want to give me an opportunity to engage, then it's just, it's just somebody who's calling in with a bit of propaganda, that is all. And which is, I think, unhelpful. You need an ability to have a conversation, and that's I keep encouraging our people. Let us have a conversation. It doesn't matter who you support. By having that conversation, you can say, well, okay, I understand the point that you're making, because all of us have something to say. And we must learn to listen to each other, because that's the only way we will learn. Yeah? So,
yes, you're absolutely correct. Let's have a sensible, mature dialogue, because no two people will always agree. Even in parties, you may have supporters, but it's not all supporters will support every single decision the party does. Even the leader, because I would have heard people say, oh, I support CCM, but I don't support Mark. I mean, people maybe support, for instance, the embarrassment that we have in the White House in America, but they do not support they support the party, but they don't support the leader. Right? See, I mean, I don't expect everybody who support my party would support every single thing my party, does, the leader and whatever, So that is just the reality. But let me ask before I continue quickly. The callers who normally call in, because I think the lady called in last week in reference to the prayer, which was excellent. These contributions are always vital and important. I think you used to have two of them. I think I heard one last week. When I tuned out, I don't know if any call in this week. So I hope that they will continue to provide the service, because it has been excellent over the years, and I want to commend them. But I mentioned last week, before I also want to deal with some matters quickly, I mentioned in reference to, if I was the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, I personally, I said that I will cut all the electricity meters from all the churches and water. But I did not expound why I will do that. I personally, because I could talk for myself, right? I don't think that no church should pay for electricity in the country. You have in terms of many times government use money to do all kind of different things, and how much it would cost the churches in terms of electricity and water nationally or on each island. Maybe, perhaps, could be 100,000, could be 200,000, but there are times when the government use 100, 200,000 to maybe say bring in the artists, right? So I believe that should be a national service to the country, because they go, well, the schools owned by the government, the government don't have to pay no electricity for the schools and no water. I believe the church is very important to the country, provide an excellent service to the country, and that is my personal opinion, right? So it may not be even my party's opinion, but I must have an individual opinion, on my own, and that is the reality. So I definitely would like to see that happen sometime, down the road, and I to be honest, pray and hope that take place. You mentioned in reference to Chum, but let me tell you that the people at the Keyon High School, especially the teachers, are suffering. And I think I heard you say you went down, or somebody was telling me you went down to St. Paul's. Then maybe you need to probably go over to Keyon High School to get the update in terms of the present position and condition in that very important institution. These teachers, even in a block in the Keyon High School, when rain fall, and it's a block that they just renovated, the teachers and the students had to go in the center of the building. And the school is leaking even more than it was renovated. And I want you could even investigate and come back next week and update the country in terms of the information I'm giving you. And as I said last week, no reason why the money in your primary school should not be renovated up to now. They gone up in some building up in Phillips Hills that was built for maybe recreation or for them young people. Imagine for years the students them and the teachers them up in that building, and nothing has been done to the school. Why?
All right, caller. You have any other issues quickly, because you have taken up some time?
Okay. Yeah, let me ask you two things quickly. What is the update in reference to the hospital in terms of whether expansion, renovation in Nevis? Because I have heard in terms of some delay in terms of completion. I know you would have indicated that the service at the hospital still continue even the renovation is not complete. But it's something supposed to finish at a certain time. I mean, why is it this big delay and it's not complete yet? And if you can update the country, the nation, the island, in terms of what caused the delay and maybe when it should complete. And I want to ask you the last thing, and I will leave the others for another time, in reference to the agriculture, because we heard of this big thing, the 2020 or 2025 in the federation. What is the update? Because I have not seen much done in reference to agriculture that I know and I see that this government is not taking seriously. But I don't know what they're really taking seriously outside of the increase in the big salary.
Okay.
But I will probably leave it there, give you the chance to answer, and if I can come back, because I have serious issues.
Caller, yes, I know you have issues, but you've been on for a while, so you'll leave some of the issues for another time. We can't deal with all of them tonight, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your call. In relation to the agriculture, I have not had an update in terms of that 25 by 25. I think that was the CARICOM pledge. So I am not in a position to answer you on that in terms of where we are, but I certainly will get the stats and try to come back on the next occasion. In relation to the hospital project, that's something that we've updated on almost on a monthly basis in terms of my monthly press conference. And what I can say to you is that we are working very closely with the Taiwanese government in relation to that particular project. We have a construction firm from Taiwan that we have engaged, and we anticipate, as we have pledged, that project will resume this year. Once we have timelines, I will bring those timelines and we will have an appreciation of where we are. But that particular project of the hospital, we have updated and updated and updated, callers. So perhaps you have not been paying attention, but certainly it is something that I agree with you needs to be finished, and we have committed that it will be finished. And so we expect to resume work this year. Let's go back to the phones. We have 20 minutes left. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, good evening. You're on the air. Go ahead.
And to the listening public. Now I hear you saying how well the country doing. So let me ask you this. If the country doing so well, how come never go borrow a loan to pay the fuel bill? I'm going to listen to you half ear to hear what you go say, 'cause I know you got enough things to say.
All right, thank you, caller. Caller, if you understand how business works and understand that people choose to borrow when necessary, it doesn't mean that the country isn't running well because you have to borrow. I have loans. I'm sure you may have some as well. Are you paying them? Are you up to date with your loans? Are you servicing your loans? Having a loan doesn't indicate that you're not doing well. Having a loan indicates that the bank sees that you have the potential, because banks don't lend money to people who can't repay. So the mere fact that you can get a loan is an indication that the bank is satisfied that you're doing well. So having a loan or taking a loan doesn't mean anything in terms of how well you're doing. There are lots of very wealthy people out there who have loans and are paying loans. The question is, can you service the loan? So if you don't feel that Nevis is doing well, then you need to call in and really give some evidence as to why you say that. But I am speaking to what I'm seeing, to the jobs that are available, to the number of people who are moving here, seeking work and finding it, to the construction activity that I'm seeing, to the new businesses that are opening, to the new investments that we're seeing happening. Just yesterday, as I reported, I went to the groundbreaking for the new multi-million US dollar development at Four Seasons, and there's more of that to come. So it's happening all over. I started the show by saying, take a walk through Charlestown. If you want to walk with me, come, call me tomorrow, I'll walk with you. Because as you walk around Charleston, I guarantee within 15 minutes, you're probably going to find something like $20 million worth of construction activity in Charleston alone. Well, if that is all happening around us, caller, how can we say that things aren't happening and things aren't going well? The fact that somebody has a loan, is actually sometimes a good indication of what is happening, because it means the banks have money to lend and the banks have confidence in you that they're going to lend you. That's how business works. The banks have money to lend and the banks have confidence in you that they will lend you. That means that the bank sees that you're doing well enough to repay the loan. That's how business works. Let's go back to the phones. We have about 17 minutes left and we're taking your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good night, sir. Good night.
Good evening.
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Mr. Brantley, you defend Donald Trump a couple of weeks ago to the core. You must be the only leader who defends Donald Trump like that.
You heard me.
You must know why.
Caller, you heard me. Caller, you heard me. You heard me defending Donald Trump?
Yes.
What did I say to defend Donald Trump?
Just like you remember what I said?
You tell me. You're the one talking.
You should get a record.
Well, caller, I have never sought to defend any leader on this program, and definitely have not sought to defend Donald Trump.
Man, you got to start to say whatever he does, he right.
I said that.
President will do what he wants.
I said that. Caller, I think you have the wrong show, Because you must be, because I have never had such a conversation with you or anybody else on the show.
Not with me. I said we defend Donald Trump.
But
and you talk I'm talking about.
But caller, I don't know what you're saying. If you're saying that I defended Donald Trump, I'm saying to you that is categorically untrue.
You big him up then. You big him up. You understand that now?
Big him up. Well,
anyway, let me get off of that.
Well, I beg you get off of that for sure. Get on to something real.
You don't say this neither. The months you've been saying, you're talking about foreign nationals, and you always say, our people that say I went away. Did they rent to the Caribbean countries? You always did that. Our people left here and went away somewhere. Did they go to the Caribbean countries?
Of course.
When you count 100 Caribbean people out there in the Caribbean countries.
Well, what are you saying? Our people went to Caribbean countries, of course.
Yeah.
St. Martin, St. Croix, St. Thomas, Puerto Rico, BVI. But I know you change the question now.
Because you talked about St. Lucia, Dominica, Jamaica, but you said our people went out there. Up to Jakarta, all the countries about people in your country. You call out all the different Caribbean countries.
Caller, you're really confusing me, because I am telling you that our people went out there as well. You're saying that is not true?
I'm not saying it's not true, but where they went.
They went to other Caribbean countries. They went to countries outside the Caribbean. They went all over the world.
Well, outside the Caribbean, but you're making it sound like we went. St. Lucia, Dominica, Antigua, Montserrat.
No, we went St. Croix, St. John, St. Thomas. We went Tortola, we went Antigua, we went Virgin Gorda, we went St. Martin, we went Anguilla.
Back in the Virgin Island again.
We're all in place to be. Anguilla in the Virgin Island. Anguilla is in the Virgin Island. St. Martin is in the Virgin Island. Caller, what are you really saying? We went Sabre, we went Statia.
I'm talking about them countries you call earlier. St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Dominica, Jamaica, Barbados, Antigua.
Okay,
you call them earlier.
Okay, caller.
You call them now.
So I said that our people...
You talk about people from there.
Yes.
Here in our country. But you're talking about our people. Went other places.
So, but what is...
Make it sound like me. Little went Antigua, St. Lucia, Dominica, same way.
That's how we make it sound to you?
That's how you just say it. You always say it that way.
Okay. Caller, I tell you, you started out by telling something that is not true. And you're going down a road. You're going down a road here. I don't think you understand what you're listening to, you know. Caller, you hung up. I don't think you really understand what you're listening to. I am making the point that people are now coming into Nevis just as we would have gone to other countries. Where you coming now talking about we didn't go Barbados and we didn't go St. Lucia, we didn't go to those countries? What are you talking about? The point is made that people left here and went all over the world. And right next door in Sabre, Statia, St. Martin, Anguilla, Tortola, Antigua, Virgin Gorda, Puerto Rico, St. Croix, St. Thomas, our people went to those places. I don't understand the argument that you're making. So what you say? If we didn't go to Dominica, so nobody from Dominica could come here? That's your point? Well, I don't see nobody from St. Martin here either, but we went there. I don't see no Crucian and no Tomian here, but we went there. So, caller, I don't understand the point you're making. And I have been on radio bigging up Donald Trump and defending Donald Trump. Where on earth are you getting this nonsense from? Sometimes I think we should listen carefully and understand what we're listening before we start the mouth off, because I really don't know. And you left everybody puzzled with your call tonight because we are not understanding what you're trying to say. We missed that call. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 1700. Before I take that call, I got to share a joke. The caller, my friend who called in and kept saying, nada, nada. I just got a note from Telemed Partners. They say they're looking for Spanish-speaking workers. So please call 667-3443. 667-3443, because you kept saying nada, they think you speak Spanish, so you can call them if you're looking for a job. Let's go to the phones and take some calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
You say if you may listen to hear what you say, no? Because what you say about Donald Trump, you said that Donald said what he going to do, and the people will still go and do what he have to do. I didn't even listen to the news, not to hear.
Well, I don't know what you're listening with, because he making big noise with me, so I bigging up Donald Trump.
I know, my nose is listening, not to hear.
I want to know what he's talking about. Oh. All right, caller. Well, thank you very much for that, because I really am wondering if I'm having an out-of-body experience that I've been talking out of my head and not knowing. Yeah. All right.
You said it. You don't listen.
All right, caller. Thank you. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening to you.
Let me ask you something. Do the Nevis Island government own Nevlec?
Of course we own Nevlec.
Don't you see why Nevlec go borrow money for pay the bill?
But you own Nevlec?
Huh?
Do you own Nevlec?
No.
You don't own Nevlec?
No.
Well, I owe them.
Well, all right, that's good for you.
Well, and I'm sure most people in Nevis own Nevlec.
Well, anyway, you're keeping up all kind of things tonight on the radio. Where do you campaign again?
But
when the next election?
I'm always campaigning. The next election is due when it's due.
So when it's due?
When it's due in 5
When you go with all night tonight?
5 years from 2022.
Election will call next week.
But I don't understand. What am I going on with? I've come with information. I'm sharing information. You calling in, you're making your point. Were you campaigning? You have an election that's coming?
When the time come, Mark, you're going to know.
What am I going to know? What am I going to know? Well, you see the difficulty I have, and I know your voice very good. And let me tell you something. No matter how hard you talk, you can't intimidate me, and you can't frighten me with I don't know anything. You've been out there doing all kind of things, saying all kind of things. I see all kind of stupid video you put out. It has not made a difference to anybody. Because at the end of the day, you know I know you, and you know me. It is as simple as that. So let us focus on what is at hand here. You're calling in with your point, and you're making your point. You are entitled to. I am here every Wednesday for 20 years. What are you asking me about election? I did not say anything about election. When a campaign is announced, you will know. Because you will feel the power of the big blue machine. You don't got to look for it, you're going to feel it. So you don't need to worry about that. Now you're going to ask if the government owes Nevlec. Obviously the government owes Nevlec. If you have electricity, I'm sure you owe Nevlec too. I definitely owe Nevlec. And I'm sure most people in Nevis owe Nevlec. We owe Nevlec every month. And we try to pay Nevlec as we go. We owe water. We pay as we go. We owe the bank for our car. We owe the bank for our house. We pay as we go. If you all don't understand how life works and how things work, then maybe what you need to do is just listen off ear and try to learn. Not to call in and try to get belligerent, because the belligerence might impress some people. It doesn't impress me. And for sure, it's not going to move me. You should know that by now, because I know you know me very well. Just as I know you very well. So let us get off of that and just focus. If it sounds like I'm campaigning, I'm always campaigning. So let me let you know that from now. Because my campaign is serving the people of Nevis and letting the people of Nevis know the truth about what is happening on the island. Your first call was a call where you tried to say something to the effect that Nevlec had to borrow. Well, everybody borrows. That doesn't indicate anything. So I am not a sure caller what you're getting at or what agenda you're seeking to achieve. But as I said, soften the voice and thing, take the bass out your voice, because you're not impressing anybody. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. We have 6 minutes left. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Yes, goodbye.
Yes, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, do not let that calling to tell you. Do not let them stress you. Do what you have to do in the name of Jesus, and the Lord God bless you for everything you do. Even so, you're doing the good thing, you're going to get all kind of ups and downs. But remember, don't do it to Jesus. So who is we and who is you? Do not let them stress you. I tell you from the way I stay, do not let them stress you out. You hear me?
Thank you very much, my
dear. They're talking nonsense, hang up on them.
Thank you very much. And I'm happy that you're calling from Stacia. You're from Nevis? Okay, well, the caller is gone. But you're calling, you see that, for that caller earlier who making a ton of noise about our people, where our people gone. Somebody just called from Stacia. That's our people in Stacia. Are there people from Stacia in Nevis? I don't know. But there are people from other places who are here. That is the point. Let's go back to the phones. We have about 5 minutes left now. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yeah, Mark, let me just ask you. We spoke at least a week ago in reference to the Kim Collins Stadium. Have you heard any update? Because we have 2 stadiums in the Federation, but we couldn't host an inter-school competition. That is not acceptable.
I have not had any update, caller. So I apologize for that, but I have not heard anything from St. Kitts. What I will say is that the biggest sporting event in the Federation, which is the Inter-Primary, that was held successfully here on Nevis on the 2nd of April, and the Charleston Primary School emerged the winners. That I can speak to. That is on the island of Nevis, and we had a very successful event. I can't speak to anything about the Kim Collins Stadium. It is not within my remit, and I have not heard anything further on it.
Well, I can tell you, as I said, that is not acceptable. That is total nonsense. As I said, if we have two stadium in the federation, so if the one in Sinkit, they're doing whatever, which I don't understand up to now why it's not finished. But why the sports didn't held in Nevis, right? But let me ask you, as you continue to wrap up, because the hospital would have started renovation around 2017 or expansion.
Yes, it started in towards the end of 2017.
Well, and that was budget to take how long?
We didn't have a budget as to the time, I don't think, but I believe that the extension was anticipated to be about 2 years.
Right. So, and this is now probably almost 10 years. So that is what I was just wondering.
2017 till now is 10 years?
No. I'm saying almost 10 years.
Oh,
it is
okay.
about 2 years short of 10 years, which is still quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering why the expansion is taking so long.
But caller, I said to you that is an update that is regularly given to the people of Nevis. If you have not been listening, well, I can't help you.
All the time, yeah.
So I'm telling you, I've regularly updated the people on that. I did it as recently as my press conference to indicate that where we are, what we're doing. Just tonight you called and I told you where we are and what we're doing. What else would you require of me at this point? The project has been delayed. We had the intervention of COVID for 2 years. We had some redesign issues. We have gone over this over and over ad nauseum with the people. What I can say is that we've not been spending any money, so we're not over budget, but the project stopped for a variety of reasons. Initially it was COVID, and then we had the need to do some redesign on the internal space. The shell is complete, the exterior is complete, but the internal sections of the hospital, that's where the technical aspects were, and that is what we're getting guidance on from our friends in Taiwan. I have said this over and over and over.
Well, I hope that gets completed, get complete as quick as possible.
It will be completed, caller.
And in reference to the update on the airport in Nevis, because these two islands are very important to my heart.
Yes.
My mother is from Nevis.
Good.
Right? And I love Nevis. I love Sinkit. And I can tell you the Federation of Sinkits and Nevis. And that is what I want, the best for this federation and this nation. So I'm very, very, when it comes to both islands, very, very, things are very important to me. So if you can just give a little update in terms of the airport.
All right.
And then,
thank you. Yes, quickly, caller, we run out of time.
Yeah, I just want to say, which I will continue the next time, that PAM is not the issue in Sinkits and Nevis. What is the issue is what are the people who are in Church Street right now that is causing the harm on our country. But we will continue another time.
Thank you very much, caller. You have been given a good run tonight on 2 occasions. You've asked again about the update on the airport. I feel like I'm having to repeat myself because these are updates that are being given regularly, caller. They've been given at press conferences and been given in press releases. The airport project is ongoing. We anticipate that we will break ground soon on that project to get that project over the finish line. And as I said, we continue to update on those projects on a regular basis. We thank you for your calls. We realize that the band has struck up. It means that the show has come to an end and it is time for us therefore to go. I want to thank all the callers who called in tonight. I want to thank those who continue to support this show every Wednesday, and it's been 20 years, so it's been a long time. We have grown up together in many respects, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And so I want to thank all of you who call, all of you who are part of this show. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on VON Radio. We ask that you continue to stay tuned, continue to work hard, continue to develop this beautiful island of Nevis and this country of St. Kitts and Nevis. That's our show. Good night, and God bless you.
Views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited